Certain environmental conditions can preserve human biological materials with remarkable precision. Specific geological formations like northern European peat bogs create preservation environments so unique that human remains can be recovered thousands of years after death, with unprecedented levels of detail. These biological time capsules provide extraordinary insights into ancient human physiology, dietary patterns, and environmental interactions. Revolutionary research indicates that biological systems might utilize quantum mechanical principles for information storage and transfer. Certain cellular communication processes appear to operate using quantum tunneling and entanglement, suggesting that living systems might process and store information using mechanisms far more sophisticated than traditional chemical signaling. These discoveries hint at profound mysteries in how biological systems maintain coherence and process complex information. Emerging epigenetic research suggests that traumatic experiences might create heritable molecular changes that persist across generations. Studies on populations experiencing extreme stress have indicated that psychological trauma can create molecular markers that potentially transfer to offspring. These discoveries challenge traditional genetic inheritance models, suggesting that human experience might be encoded in far more complex ways than previously understood. Human decomposition is a fascinatingly complex chemical process that transforms biological matter into an intricate ecological system. As a body breaks down, it releases a sophisticated chemical cocktail that interacts with surrounding environments in unexpected ways. Forensic ecologists have mapped how human remains create unique decomposition islands, areas of intense biological activity where soil chemistry, microbial populations, and vegetation are dramatically transformed. Neuroscientific research into near-death experiences has uncovered bizarre neurological phenomena. Brain scanning technologies have captured unexpected neural activity during clinical death, revealing complex electromagnetic patterns that challenge traditional understanding of consciousness. Some studies suggest that human neural networks might maintain sophisticated information processing capabilities, even when primary physiological systems have ceased functioning, raising profound questions about the nature of human awareness. Forensic taphonomy, the study of organic decomposition, reveals a complex ecological transformation process. When a human body decomposes, it becomes a concentrated nutrient source that dramatically alters surrounding environmental systems. Specialized researchers can reconstruct entire narratives of death and environmental interaction by studying microscopic changes in soil composition, insect activity, and biological marker transformations. Each decomposition process creates a unique ecological signature that can be read like a complex scientific manuscript. Cutting-edge biological research has uncovered extraordinary cellular communication methods that defy traditional understanding. Cells appear to communicate using sophisticated quantum-like information transfer mechanisms, potentially utilizing electromagnetic and quantum tunneling processes. Some experiments suggest that cellular networks can maintain coherent communication patterns that extend beyond traditional chemical signaling, hinting at a more complex understanding of biological information processing. Medical researchers have documented extraordinary cases of human physiological adaptation under impossible conditions. Documented instances include individuals surviving extreme temperature variations, prolonged oxygen deprivation, and massive physical trauma. One remarkable case involved a mountain climber who survived a 47,000-foot fall from an airplane, suffering multiple bone fractures, but ultimately surviving. These cases reveal the human body's incredible resilience and capacity to maintain critical functions under circumstances that should, by all conventional understanding, result in immediate death. Neuroscientists have discovered that human memories might persist in ways far more complex than previously understood. Brain tissue studies reveal that memory traces can remain detectable even after significant cellular degradation. Experiments have shown that certain neural pathways maintain a form of informational integrity long after traditional cognitive functions cease. Some researchers theorize that memory might exist as a quantum-like information field, potentially extending beyond the physical constraints of brain matter, challenging fundamental understanding of consciousness and memory preservation. Emerging research suggests that biological systems might operate using quantum mechanical principles previously thought impossible in living organisms. Certain enzymatic processes and cellular communication appear to utilize quantum tunneling and entanglement, challenging our understanding of life at the molecular level. These discoveries hint at profound mysteries in how biological systems process information and energy, suggesting that life might be far more complex than our current scientific models predict. Human decomposition is a fascinatingly complex chemical process that transforms a body into multiple environmental components. Forensic researchers have mapped how a human body breaks down, releasing unique chemical signatures that can be traced through soil, vegetation, and surrounding ecosystems. Each stage of decomposition creates a distinct microbiome, essentially turning a human body into a temporary but rich ecological system. Humans have survived in environments that defy conventional understanding of physiological limits. Documented cases include individuals surviving extreme cold for hours, underwater submersion beyond expected survival times, and incredible physical trauma. One remarkable case involved a mountain climber who survived a 10,000-foot fall, multiple bone fractures, and extreme exposure, demonstrating the extraordinary adaptability of human physiology. Medical researchers have discovered that certain human cells can continue functioning long after clinical death. Some nerve cells show electrical activity hours after the heart stops, while certain cellular processes can remain active for days. Organ transplant research has revealed that some tissues remain viable and can be successfully transplanted even when the primary body has died, challenging traditional definitions of life and death. Forensic entomologists can determine the time of death with extraordinary precision by studying insect activity on a corpse. Different insect species arrive in predictable waves, creating a biological clock that allows investigators to pinpoint death timing within hours. Some specialists can even determine if a body has been moved by analyzing the specific insect species present, creating a microscopic crime scene reconstruction that goes beyond traditional forensic methods. Northern European peat bogs have preserved human bodies with such incredible detail that researchers can determine an individual's last meal, clothing, and even cause of death thousands of years after burial. The unique chemical composition of these bogs, highly acidic, oxygen-poor environments, creates perfect preservation conditions. Some bog bodies have been so well preserved that they appear almost lifelike, with skin, hair, and even fingerprints intact, providing an unparalleled window into ancient human life and death. Nuclear bomb tests have created long-lasting environmental markers that will persist for millennia. Radioactive isotopes from bomb testing have been found in tree rings, glacial ice, and even human teeth worldwide. These radioactive signatures are so distinctive that forensic scientists can use them to date biological specimens with remarkable precision. Some of these isotopes will remain detectable for hundreds of thousands of years, creating an unexpected and permanent geological timestamp of human technological development. During World War II, Nazi scientists conducted horrific nutritional experiments that inadvertently revealed disturbing information about human survival. In one particularly macabre study, researchers meticulously documented the human body's ability to survive on minimal nutrition, including instances of cannibalism. These unethical experiments revealed that the human body can adapt to extreme starvation in ways previously unknown, with subjects maintaining cognitive function and muscle mass far longer than previously believed. While the research methods were abhorrent, they provided unprecedented insights into human physiological resilience. Scientists have discovered that tardigrades, microscopic water-dwelling creatures, can survive in the most extreme conditions imaginable. In a shocking space experiment, these tiny organisms were exposed to the vacuum of space, cosmic radiation, and temperatures ranging from absolute zero to boiling point. Not only did they survive, but some were capable of reproducing after being literally shot into space and returning to Earth. Their cellular structure allows them to essentially shut down their metabolism, becoming almost completely inert, only to spring back to life when conditions improve. This ability suggests that life can potentially survive interplanetary travel, challenging our fundamental understanding of biological limitations. Human genetic material is extraordinarily durable. DNA has been successfully extracted and sequenced from remains thousands of years old, including Neanderthal specimens and ancient human populations. In ideal preservation conditions, genetic material can potentially remain readable for tens of thousands of years, offering unprecedented insights into human migration, genetic mutations, and evolutionary history. This resilience challenges our understanding of biological decay and information preservation. Studies have revealed a startling psychological phenomenon where individuals near death often experience a sudden burst of energy and apparent improvement, known as the rally effect. Hospice workers and family members frequently report patients who seem to become more alert, engage in conversations, or even sit up shortly before their final decline. This curious neurological and physiological response remains not fully understood, presenting a mysterious intersection between human consciousness and the approach of mortality. Medical researchers have discovered that human brain tissue can remain surprisingly intact long after death under certain conditions. In some archaeological sites, brains have been found preserved for thousands of years due to unique environmental factors like extreme cold, minimal oxygen, or specific chemical compositions in the surrounding soil. These preserved brains provide unprecedented insights into ancient human physiology and neurological structures, transforming our understanding of human evolution in ways that traditional skeletal remains cannot. Before photography immortalized faces, death masks captured the final expressions of history's notables in plaster, offering an eerie, lifelike record. In the 18th and 19th centuries, figures like Napoleon Bonaparte, whose mask reveals a calm brow despite his turbulent end, and Ludwig van Beethoven, his stern features softened in repose, were preserved this way. The process began within hours of death. Artists coated the face with oil, then poured wet plaster over it, letting it harden into a mold. Once lifted, this negative cast was filled to create a replica, capturing every wrinkle and scar. Robespierre's mask, made post-guillotine, shows a battered jaw and closed eyes, a grim portrait of his execution. Some, like poet John Keats, appear almost alive, their youthful features frozen in plaster's cool embrace. These masks were prized by families and scholars, displayed in drawing rooms or cast in bronze for posterity. The technique required speed. Rigor mortis could distort features if delayed, yet the results were startlingly detailed, from Napoleon's faint smirk to Beethoven's furrowed brow. In Paris, the Musée Carnavalet holds dozens, their white surfaces gleaming under glass. Some masks reveal secrets. Lincoln's shows swelling from his assassination wound. A detail photographs missed. Artisans sometimes painted them, adding lifelike hues to sunken cheeks. These relics bridge life and legacy, offering a tangible connection to the past. Today they fascinate museum goers, their stillness a stark contrast to the vibrant lives they once defined, each a silent witness to a final breath cast in time. In the shadow of America's Civil War, families mourning soldiers crafted hair wreaths, intricate memorials woven from the locks of the fallen. With battlefields far from home and photography scarce, a soldier's hair, often sent in letters or retrieved from bodies, became a precious relic. Women, skilled in needlework, transformed these strands into elaborate designs, shaping them into flowers, vines, and hearts with techniques honed over hours. Boiling water softened the hair, which was then curled around wire frames or pinned into patterns on velvet backings. Some wreaths blended hair from multiple kin, brothers, fathers, sons, into a single piece, their colors mingling in braids of brown, black, or faded blonde. Beads, buttons, or ribbons accented the work, but the hair itself held the deepest meaning, a physical tie to those lost at Shiloh or Gettysburg. Displayed in parlors under glass domes, these wreaths adorned homes like sacred art, their delicate coils a quiet defiance of war's chaos. At Layla's Hair Museum in Missouri, visitors marvel at these relics, some over 150 years old, their strands still lustrous despite time. One wreath, framed in gold, encircles a tintype of a young soldier, his hair woven into roses below his solemn face. The craft demanded precision. Each strand was measured, twisted, and secured with thread, a labor of love amid grief. Families traded patterns, some published in women's magazines, spreading the tradition across the divided nation. These wreaths weren't mere decoration, they were anchors to memory, preserving the fallen in a form that death couldn't erase. Today, they stand as haunting testaments to a war that left behind not just scars, but strands of enduring devotion. Beneath the vibrant streets of Guanajuato, Mexico, the Museo de las Momias houses a collection of mummies with faces contorted in screams, their mouths agape and eyes wide in apparent terror. These bodies, unearthed starting in the 1830s, owe their preservation to the region's arid climate and mineral-laden soil, which halted decay naturally. The story begins with a cholera outbreak in 1833, followed by a local tax requiring families to pay for cemetery plots. When payments lapsed, gravediggers exhumed bodies, discovering some had mummified instead of decomposing. Among them were figures like Ignacia Aguilar, whose raised arms and twisted expression suggest she awoke in her coffin, buried alive, due to a misdiagnosed coma. Others, like a man with hands clawing upward, show signs of struggle, their final moments etched into their preserved flesh. Scientists explain that rapid dehydration locked their facial muscles in place at death, amplifying these horrifying poses. The museum displays over 100 of these mummies, each in glass cases, their leathery skins stretched tight over bones. Some wear tattered clothes from their burial, shoes, dresses, even a child's bonnet, adding a poignant touch to their eerie presence. Ignacia's story in particular chills visitors. Her autopsy revealed a bitten tongue and scratched coffin lid, evidence of her desperate fight. The dry air preserved not just bodies, but their expressions, turning them into accidental time capsules of anguish. Today, tourists flock to this dimly lit museum, staring into the silent screams of the past, a macabre gallery where nature and tragedy collide. The screaming mummies remain Guanajuato's most haunting residents, their frozen cries a stark echo of a fate no one foresaw. Across medieval England's rugged countryside, corpse roads stretched like somber threads connecting isolated villages to distant churches with consecrated burial grounds. In an era when only specific sites were deemed holy enough for eternal rest, mourners carried coffins, sometimes for miles, over these ancient paths, braving moors, forests, and rivers. In Cumbria, the old corpse road winds through bleak hills, its route marked by weathered stones etched with faint crosses, trodden by centuries of funeral processions. Superstition shaped these journeys. Villagers believed a soul could wander if not buried in sacred soil, so they sprinkled salt on coffins to bind spirits and deter malevolent forces. Along the way, coffin rests, flat slabs of stone, dotted the paths, offering weary bearers a place to set their heavy loads during the trek. Some paths, like those in Yorkshire, featured lich gates, where priests met the procession to bless the deceased before entering churchyards. The terrain was unforgiving. Steep inclines and muddy trails tested resolve, especially in winter when snow buried the markers. Lanterns flickered in the dark as groups chanted prayers, their voices swallowed by the wind. In Dartmoor, tales persist of spectral figures seen pacing these routes, remnants of interrupted journeys. Each corpse road had its quirks. Some crossed streams via corpse bridges, narrow stone arches built solely for the dead. These paths fell into disuse as local cemeteries emerged, but their echoes remain, overgrown trails and lonely stones hinting at their purpose. Today, hikers trace these routes, feeling the weight of history beneath their feet, where every step once carried a final farewell through a landscape steeped in reverence and dread. In the tranquil town of Kutna Hora, Czech Republic, the Sedlec ossuary stands as a chilling testament to mortality, its interior adorned with the skeletal remains of over 40,000 individuals. This small Gothic chapel beneath the Church of All Saints owes its macabre decor to a 13th century event when a local abbot traveled to Jerusalem and returned with soil from Golgotha, the site of Christ's crucifixion. Sprinkling this holy earth over the Sedlec cemetery turned it into a sought-after burial ground, drawing the faithful from across Europe. By the 15th century, the Black Death and Hussite Wars had filled the site beyond capacity, forcing monks to exhume countless skeletons to make room for new burials. These bones piled up in the ossuary, a grim storage vault, until 1870, when a local woodcarver, František Rint, was tasked with organizing them. Rather than stacking them neatly, Rint unleashed his creativity, crafting elaborate decorations from the remains. Skulls are strung into garlands that drape across the ceiling, while femurs and tibias form an enormous chandelier rumored to incorporate every bone type in the human body. A coat of arms, commissioned by the noble Schwarzenberg family, features ribs and vertebrae arranged with precision, a skeletal tribute to their legacy. Crosses made of jawbones and arches of pelvic bones line the walls, each piece meticulously placed. Visitors descend into this underground chamber, awed by the sheer scale and artistry, where death transforms into something strangely beautiful. The air feels heavy with history, as if the souls of those interred linger in the shadows. Rint's signature, spelled out in finger bones, marks his work, a haunting signature on a masterpiece of the macabre. Today, the Bone Church draws thousands, its eerie elegance a stark reminder of life's fragility turned into enduring art. Perched atop 19th-century homes along New England's stormy coast, Widows' Walks are railed platforms where sailors' wives stood, scanning the horizon for ships that often never returned. In towns like Nantucket and Salem, these architectural relics crown saltbox houses, their black railings stark against gray shingles. During the whaling and merchant eras, men braved the Atlantic's wrath, leaving women to watch from these lonely lookouts, clutching shawls against the wind. Many ships vanished, swallowed by hurricanes or dashed on rocks, leaving the walks as stages for quiet despair. In Provincetown, one widow reportedly paced for years after the 1841 October gale claimed her husband's schooner, her vigil a town legend. The name Widow's Walk stuck as losses mounted, each empty horizon deepening the term's grim weight. Some walks feature cupolas or spyglasses, tools of feudal hope now rusted by salt air. Folklore whispers of spectral figures, veiled women pacing at dusk, their footsteps creaking on warped boards. In Gloucester, a widow's walk overlooks a harbor where 10,000 fishermen perished over centuries, its boards worn by countless steps. These platforms weren't just practical, they became symbols, etched into ballads and paintings of the seafaring age. Today, they stand empty, some restored as tourist curios, others crumbling under neglect. Their view, endless waves and distant sails, remains unchanged, a timeless tableau of longing. In storms, locals say the wind carries faint cries, an echo of those who watched until hope faded, leaving behind these poignant perches of a coast defined by loss. Beneath the turquoise waters of Chuuk Lagoon, Micronesia, lies a submerged necropolis of World War II relics, the Ghost Fleet, sunk during 1944's Operation Hailstone. Over 2 days, Allied forces bombarded this Japanese stronghold, sending 60 ships, battleships, destroyers, submarines, to the seabed. The attack was swift. Planes dropped torpedoes and bombs, ripping hulls apart, trapping crews below deck as water flooded in. Today, divers glide through this underwater graveyard, finding the Fujikawa Maru upright, its hold packed with Zero fighter planes, their wings corroded but intact. The Nippo Maru's deck cradles rusted tanks, while sake bottles and gas masks litter the Shinkoku Maru's cabins, untouched since the chaos. Coral has claimed these wrecks, weaving vibrant tendrils over steel, turning turrets into reefs. Human remains, skulls and femurs, peek from silt, a silent toll of the sudden strike that killed over 4,000. The lagoon's depths, some 200 feet, hide deeper wrecks like the Ikoku Maru, its bow blasted open, a cavernous tomb. Divers recount eerie moments, a typewriter frozen mid-sentence, a shoe beside a bone. The water muffles sound, amplifying the stillness of this once roaring fleet. Chuuk's tropical beauty belies its past. Above, palm trees sway. Below, history rusts. Operation Hailstone crippled Japan's Pacific defenses, but the lagoon preserved its casualties. A time capsule of war's fury. Now a dive haven, it draws adventurers to its ghostly depths, where nature and destruction entwine in a haunting embrace. Tucked within England's Alnwick Garden, behind iron gates and skull-adorned signs, thrives the Poison Garden, a deadly Eden growing over 100 toxic plants. Opened in 2005 by Jane Percy, the Duchess of Northumberland, this plot near Alnwick Castle educates visitors about nature's lethal side. Hemlock, infamous for poisoning Socrates with its paralyzing sap, stands beside foxglove, whose delicate purple blooms hide a heart-stopping toxin. Deadly nightshade tempts with glossy berries mimicking cherries, each a dose of death if swallowed. Guides, gloved and cautious, recount tales, like how ricin, derived from castor beans here, kills with no cure, a single seed fatal in hours. Laurel bushes emit a scent that can trigger convulsions if inhaled too long, while opium poppies nod in the breeze, their latex once harvested for morphine. The garden's design is deliberate. Plants are caged or roped off, their beauty a trap for the unwary. The Duchess envisioned a space to spark curiosity, not fear. Inspired by historic poison gardens of Renaissance Italy, visitors lean close but never touch, warned that even brushing against aconite, monkshood, can numb fingers or worse. A blackboard tallies poisonings from history, from Roman assassinations to Victorian mishaps. The air hums with bees, indifferent to the danger, as guides explain how these plants shape medicine and murder alike. It's a living paradox, lush greenery that kills, curated with care beside a castle's fairy tale towers. The Poison Garden thrives as a stark lesson. Beauty can conceal a fatal sting, its roots deep in both science and shadow. Off Crete's northeastern shore, Spinalonga rises from the sea, a rocky fortress turned into Greece's last leper colony from 1903 to 1957. Diagnosed with leprosy, a disease then incurable, patients were ferried here in boats locals called the hearse, exiled from society, in a tearful farewell. Yet, amid this isolation, a remarkable community bloomed. Residents, numbering up to 400, built stone houses along narrow streets, opened a school, and ran a bakery. Their hands scarred but determined. A theater hosted plays, and a newspaper, handwritten and mimeographed, shared news among the outcasts. The island's cemetery, carved into cliffs, held graves dug by patients themselves, marked with simple crosses overlooking the waves. Doctors in masks visited weekly, but the colony governed itself, electing leaders and bartering with fishermen who braved the stigma. In 1948, a cure, dapsone, arrived. Yet, some stayed, bound by the life they'd forged. The last resident, a priest, left in 1962, ringing the church bell one final time. Abandoned, Spinalonga's walls now peel, its home silent, but artifacts remain. Rusted beds, faded photos, a child's toy. Tourists wander its paths, tracing the steps of those who turned exile into existence. The sea laps at its shores, a constant companion to a place where despair met defiance. Once feared as a prison, Spinalonga's legacy is one of resilience, its ruins whispering of a village that refused to fade, even as disease claimed its builders one by one. In 1942, Pascagoula, Mississippi was gripped by wartime tension when a bizarre figure, the Phantom Barber, emerged from the shadows. Under blackout curtains mandated by World War II, this elusive intruder slipped into homes, not to steal or harm, but to snip hair from sleeping residents. Victims awoke to find uneven patches missing, scissors left as the only clue. One night, two sisters, aged 11 and 6, discovered their braids cropped, their room untouched otherwise. Sparking panic in the small Gulf Coast town. Police found no forced entry, suggesting the Phantom moved with eerie stealth, perhaps through unlocked windows. Theories swirled. Was he a soldier unhinged by war's stress, collecting locks as macabre trophies, or a local prankster exploiting the darkness? Newspapers fueled the mystery, dubbing him a ghostly clipper. A manhunt ensued, with patrols scouring alleys and citizens clutching makeshift weapons. Yet, he struck again, clipping a man's beard as he slept. The sisters' case drew national attention, their frightened faces plastered in headlines. Footprints near one home hinted at a slim figure, but leads evaporated. After months of terror, the Phantom vanished, leaving Pascagoula to wonder if he'd been drafted, jailed, or simply tired of his strange game. No arrests were made, and his tools, scissors dulled by use, were never traced. Today, locals recount the tale with a shiver. The phantom barber a spectral footnote in a town braced for war, his silent snips a riddle unsolved in the night.